One of the world's largest crypto exchanges, FTX, collapsed almost overnight in 2022. More than $8 billion in customer funds just disappeared. People who trusted this platform lost everything. Some were saving for years, and others had their life savings locked inside. The founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, was later found guilty of fraud, but for users, the damage was already done. This raises a very serious question. Where is your crypto actually safe? Is it better to trust a big company or take control of your own funds? I'm Brett at CryptoGX, and after what happened with FTX, I think every crypto holder has to ask one thing. Can I really trust where my crypto is stored? In this video, I'll walk you through the key differences between centralized and decentralized exchanges, not just in how they work, but in how they protect or fail to protect your money. If you've ever bought, traded, or held crypto, this really matters to you because the next FTX could happen without warning. By the end of this video, you'll know how to keep your assets safer and avoid the risks that most people don't see coming. So let's start with what most people use, centralized exchanges. These are platforms like Binance, Coinbase, Crypto.com, Kraken, and if you've ever signed up and verified your identity and bought crypto with a bank card or a transfer, the chances are you've used the centralized exchange. Now, these are popular for a reason. They make things really easy. You don't need to manage your own wallet or worry about technical details. You just log in, you buy your crypto, and everything feels really smooth and familiar. But that convenience comes with some hidden costs. When you deposit your crypto into a centralized exchange, you're not actually holding it anymore. The platform takes custody of your funds. Now you can see the numbers in your accounts, but the private keys, which are the thing that proves the ownership of each coin on the blockchain, those are actually controlled by the exchange or by the company itself. And in other words, you're trusting them to protect your assets, not just from hackers, but from themselves and any sort of fraudulent behavior that any employee could do. And this is exactly where the problem starts. Now, if the company behind the platform mismanages their funds, or they freeze withdrawals, or they're facing legal trouble, your crypto could be stuck and basically could be gone for good. Now, this is not a small risk. History shows us that this is not just a theory either. Now, obviously this happened with FTX, but even before that, there were other collapses too. In 2014, there's a very well-known hack called Mt. Gox. In 2019, there was one called QuadrigaCX, and they have some pretty funny excuses. Every time within these, users had no way really to recover what they lost. Now, still with these risks, centralized exchanges do have some clear benefits as well. They're really fast and they support large trades, and they come with customer support, which obviously can be really helpful, especially for beginners. Binance alone has a daily trade volume, as you can see here, of about $17 billion. For new users, that can make a huge difference. But as we saw with FTX, size, reputation, and good design doesn't guarantee safety. It might feel secure because it looks professional, but behind the scenes, you're giving up control. Now, let's talk about that. What if you want control? This is where decentralized exchanges come in. They offer a different approach, one where you don't have to hand over control of your crypto anymore. Now, if you look at platforms like this, which is Uniswap, or something like this, which is PancakeSwap, these are decentralized exchanges. They don't ask for your ID, they don't hold your funds, they don't manage your private keys. You connect your wallet, you make a trade directly from it, and that's it. There's no middleman in the process. So effectively what this means is, instead of trusting a company to store your assets, you keep full control from start to finish. The trade happens between your wallet and someone else's, and once it's done, your funds stay with you. There's no deposits, no risk of someone else blocking your access or misusing what you've stored. Of course, that freedom comes with its own challenges. There is no customer support. If you lost your keys, there is no one to recover them for you. And for beginners, using a decentralized exchange or DEX can be confusing at first. You really need to understand how wallets work, how to approve transactions, and how to spot risky tokens with null price and other red flags. Now, this puts more responsibility on you, but in return, it removes the trust that you would otherwise have to place in a centralized company. Now, the truth is, DEXs aren't for everyone, but they do serve a clear purpose. They give you direct access to the market without giving up control of your assets. If you're holding for the long term, or you've already experienced a platform shutting down, that control can really mean peace of mind for you. With a DEX, your funds cannot disappear just because a CEO makes the wrong move or lies to regulators. What you own stays in your hands. And in crypto, that matters more than most people realize. Now, this control is what makes the biggest difference when we talk about security. On a centralized exchange, or CEX, some might call it CEX, I didn't make it up, the platform on that holds your private keys. So as I mentioned before, private keys, this basically means that they're the ones who can move, freeze, or lose your funds. You just get a interest in that particular coin, and you can take it out if you'd like, but if you leave it on the exchange, they hold the private keys, they actually hold the tokens, and they control everything about it until you transfer it off to your own wallet. Now, what this means is you might see the balance that you have on your screen, on your phone or on your laptop, but it's really only yours if the exchange stays online, if they stay honest, if they stay secure. And as we've seen, that's not always guaranteed. The FTX mishap made it very hard for the centralized exchanges to win people's trust, at least at that time. So following that, there came something called proof of reserves. This was introduced by Binance. It's an on-chain solution to show what and how much an exchange actually holds in people's assets. Basically, it's like a look into their bank account. Now, if you go to CoinGecko and you open the exchanges section, you can check the trust score of all of these centralized exchanges. Now, when you're looking at this and you're scrolling down, make sure to take note of the ones where they have this little stack with a green check mark, and as I hover over it, it shows reserve data available. This means that these exchanges have proof of reserve enabled and their holdings are publicly available to verify. This alone is a really good step in the right direction, but we are only really halfway there. So we do know how much these crypto exchanges own with proof of reserves. However, we still don't know how much they owe to their customers. An exchange may own $10 billion in crypto, but if they owe $11 billion to their customers, that still isn't good. If all of the customers started asking for their crypto back or tried to make transactions, $1 billion worth of funds would not come out, and they would probably shut down and they would probably stop withdrawals, and everybody would be out their funds for a while until a, let's say, bankruptcy hearing went through and they determined who was going to get how much and all of that, really convoluted stuff. And that's a whole nother issue. If the exchange stops withdrawals and they have to go through a big legal process, or you can't take your crypto out and sell it, you have to leave it in there, and then who knows what the price will be. If it waits for long enough, great, but what if you want your money now for something else? So anyways, with all of that being the case, people have been pushing centralized exchanges to also add proof of liability to make them relatively more transparent. And if it's not clear, that proof of liability would be to show how much they owe so that people can get at least a more clear look of how their books even out, to see what kind of position that exchange is, to give it a better trust score. So with that concern out of the way, let's come back to DEXs. When you use a decentralized exchange, you never give up the custody of your assets. The assets stay in your wallet. You're the only person that can move them. That removes one of the biggest risks in crypto, the risk of trusting someone else to hold your money safely. Holding your money safely is important because if a centralized exchange gets hacked, all user funds on that platform are at risk. With a DEX, hacks usually target the protocol or specific smart contracts. They basically will put in some sort of hack that will siphon off transactions, like if they somehow were able to find a wrinkle in the system to where they could get in and you're going to make a trade. I'm going to trade Ethereum for Bitcoin, let's say, and just a simple example. And it's a smart contract where it will find someone to trade with me at a particular rate, blah, blah, blah. They might put in a hack that will siphon off some of that transaction. There's no pool of funds for them to just take. They would have to, continuously be taking things. And basically that means that all of the funds on the platform are not at risk. Now, these hacks are few and far between, but they do happen. So it is a concern. And I've got lots more videos on the channel about things like that. So definitely subscribe and check out our other videos here. But they don't have access to everyone's wallet, is what I'm trying to say in this particular section here. That makes a huge difference. Now, as I was previously stating, that doesn't mean that DEXs are perfectly safe. There are other things like you can fall for fake tokens, phishing links, or you can connect your wallet to malicious sites that are not the actual decentralized exchange that you're trying to get to. But those risks can be avoided as long as you educate yourself and, know what you're doing, which, it just takes a little bit of time. It's not difficult. And clearly that's what you're here for. So good on you for doing your research. And one quick thing that I'll add when it comes to doing your research, another useful habit to just kind of random tip to make sure to do is always double check the token contract before making a swap. Actually find the contract address and make sure that it is the correct one before doing your swap. You can use a site like Token Sniffer right here. You can just type in or copy and paste the token address right here. It'll give you information about that token. You can also use something called DEX Tools, put in the contract address here, and then it will give you all of the information about that. So all of this is pretty simple, right? You don't need to be an expert, analytical, technical master, just to learn the basics of what's keeping you safe. And all of this really brings us to, where is your crypto actually safe? The smartest approach is to combine both. Only transfer your funds to centralized exchanges for trading. That's what they're meant for. It's meant for, buying and selling. They're not for holding your funds. Now, if you want to hold your crypto, you have to transfer it to a Web3 self-custody wallet, something like MetaMask right after your trade if you're going to hold it for a while. Honestly, those are hot wallets or online wallets. I would prefer a cold storage wallet, but if you want to be doing any sort of transacting with other Web3 Web3 sites, games, things like that. You can put it on MetaMask and you can interact with websites. MetaMask is susceptible to scams. You can connect to the wrong site and they'll drain your wallet. So be careful with that. Use a cold storage wallet if you're going to hold long term, and be safe with all the websites that you're going through. But there's also lots of videos that I made on the channel for things about hot wallets or online wallets, as well as cold storage or hardware wallets. So again, make sure to subscribe and check out the channel for those. Now let's sum up what we talked about here. Centralized exchanges make buying and trading crypto very simple, fast, and beginner friendly. But you give up control of your assets and take on the risk of management hacks and collapse and fraud and things like that. Now decentralized exchanges or DEXs give you full control of your funds and remove the need to trust a company, but they put more responsibility on you. No customer support, higher learning curve, and the risk of scams if you're not careful. But trust me, I think you guys got this. Now in short, centralized exchanges offer convenience but require trust. Decentralized exchanges offer security through self-custody, but they demand your responsibility. The safest strategy is often a mix. Use centralized exchanges to trade, then move your holdings into self-custody for long-term protection. Now if you're ready to grab some crypto and try it out on a centralized exchange or decentralized exchange, I put links in the description for Coinbase and crypto.com where you'll get at least $50 in crypto just for signing up with those links. And if you want to get into meme coins, I also left a link to MoonShot where you can claim some free meme coins when you sign up. If you learned something new or just enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and hit subscribe if you want to stay tuned for all things crypto. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.